Detroit fans, get ready. Two new trade targets have just hit the Pistons' radar, and if that wasn't enough, a jaw-dropping update about Malik Beasley is shaking up the entire early season outlook. This could change everything. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you're a Pistons fan or just love NBA drama, you're in the right place. Today, we're breaking down the early season storylines that are already reshaping Detroit's direction. From surprising trade targets emerging across the league to a shocking development surrounding Malik Beasley, we've got a loaded episode that you do not want to miss. So grab a seat, hit that like button, and let's dive right in. Let's jump straight into the big headline that has the entire Pistons community buzzing. Behind the scenes, the Detroit front office has been quietly evaluating two major trade candidates. These aren't long-shot scenarios or fantasy trade machine dreams. These are players that the Pistons have already internally discussed and who match the very obvious holes in this roster. When you look at Detroit's season so far, three issues stand out above everything else: the lack of reliable perimeter shooting, the lack of veteran decision-making, and the absence of stabilizing leadership on the defensive end. And the truth is, if the Pistons continue into the second half of the season without addressing at least two of these problems, they're setting themselves up for another long year of frustration. So these two trade targets entering the conversation is huge. The Pistons know they cannot keep rolling out a roster with no real floor spacing around Cade Cunningham. They cannot keep pretending that a team full of young players can magically figure out late-game execution without at least one or two hardened veterans to lead them. They can't keep putting pressure on their young guards to be perfect every night while the roster lacks balance and experience. These potential targets, whoever they end up being specifically, represent a new direction. They represent an acknowledgement from the front office that the rebuild doesn't have to be slow, and it doesn't have to be painful if the right pieces are added. One of the biggest problems for Detroit in recent seasons has been the refusal to add strong mid-tier veterans. Not superstars, not washed-up end-of-career players, but the in-between guys, the players who can handle real minutes, bring stability, and raise the floor of the team. And these two new targets fit that mold perfectly. Now, whether Detroit is aiming for more spacing on the wings, a defensive-minded backcourt partner for Cade, or a reliable scorer who can take pressure off the young core, these conversations are an incredibly encouraging sign. It tells us that the front office sees what we all see, and it tells us they're finally ready to address it. But just as the trade buzz began gaining steam, the Pistons world got hit with something nobody expected: a wild, completely surprising development involving Malik Beasley. This update has not only thrown fans off, it has made analysts across the league take a step back and reevaluate what Detroit's priorities actually are. Beasley has always been known for one thing above all: his ability to shoot the lights out. And on a team desperate, and I mean desperate, for three-point shooting, any update involving him carries serious weight. This latest twist might end up being one of the storylines that defines how Detroit approaches the next few months. Depending on how things play out, this could accelerate the rebuild, force a roster restructuring, or significantly alter which trade targets the Pistons pursue. It's the kind of update that throws a wrench into everyone's expectations. Suddenly, rotations could shift, minutes could redistribute. The front office might even have to rethink which positions are the priority in trade discussions. And let's be honest, Pistons fans deserve some clarity. There's been so much back and forth, so many confusing decisions, so many abrupt changes in direction that fans feel like they're stuck on a coaster without knowing when the ride ends. Beasley's situation, at its core, reflects a larger question. What exactly is Detroit trying to build this season? Are they trying to win now? Are they still fully developing? Are they trying to do a hybrid of both? This new update forces everyone, front office included, to reevaluate that question. Now let's zoom out and talk about the early season as a whole, because Detroit's start has been, well, complicated. On one hand, there are genuine signs of growth. Cade Cunningham looks more comfortable running the offense. Jalen Duren continues to look like a foundational big man with elite upside. Asar Thompson is still a defensive menace, even if his offense is a work in progress. And despite the losses, the Pistons are actually competing harder than in previous years. There are games where the energy is there, the defensive effort is real, and you get a small taste of what this young core could look like once it all clicks. It lacks players who have been in these battles long enough to help the younger guys avoid the same mistakes. And that is why these trade targets matter. That is why the Beasley update matters. It's not just about adding talent or losing talent, it's about shaping the culture of the team. It's about determining whether Detroit will keep stumbling through these early season mistakes for the next 2 years, or if they will take control of their direction and begin building a competitive identity. Because let's be real here, Pistons fans have been patient, extremely patient. And patience is a good thing, but patience does not mean ignoring reality. Fans want to see progress. They want to see a plan. They want to see that the front office is learning from mistakes and not doubling down on what isn't working. These next few months will be crucial in determining whether Detroit finally breaks out of this endless rebuild cycle or continues to tread water. So where does Detroit go from here? The answer depends on how aggressively they pursue these new trade possibilities and how they handle the Beasley situation. If they take the right steps, if they add the right pieces at the right time, this season could still become a turning point. Not necessarily a playoff year, but a growth year, a foundational year, one where we look back and say, that's when things started to change. And that's exactly what this fan base deserves. All right, Pistons fans, now it's your turn. I want to hear from you directly. What do you think about the new trade targets entering the conversation? Are you excited? Concerned? Do you think Detroit should be aggressive, or should they stay patient and let the young core keep developing? And what's your reaction to the wild Malik Beasley update? Is it a game changer? A bump in the road? Something bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and your opinions are a massive part of these conversations. If you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single Pistons update. We're just getting started this season, and the storylines are only going to get crazier from here. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting the channel, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.